guys, welcome back to my channel. If it wasn't obvious, I really need a tripod. I'm trying to record in the best places in my house that can hold my phone. So, believe it or not, my phone is sitting on a wall. See, a wall. So, I did a poll on Instagram again, and I did, what would you guys rather see? Option 1 was finding out I was going to be a teen mom, and option 2 was introducing Nolan, my oldest, to my channel. I do plan on obviously doing both. So today, obviously, the higher ranking one was finding out I was going to be a teen mom. So I'm going to get into that. Bear with me because she's a little fussy. I don't know if she's going to be in the video or not. So here we go. Hey guys, so if it wasn't obvious, I ended up moving. My knees were really starting to hurt. So I decided to move to my couch. It's really not the best angle, but it's the best I can do right now. So again, I know I say this a lot, but bear with me. Okay, so I told you I was gonna be real with you guys, and that's all my daughter does every single time I talk. So okay guys, here we go. Also, really fast, just as a disclaimer, I know that what has worked for me might not work for everybody else. This video is not to, she's already bored. This video is not to glamorize or bash teen pregnancy. It's definitely not easy. Like I said, again, what worked for me may not work for anybody else or everybody else. So yeah, let's get on with it. All right, so here we go. Sorry for all of the interruptions. Say I'm sorry. Anyways, finding out I was pregnant at 18 was difficult? Not really difficult. I don't want to say the word difficult. It was like shocking. It's something that, as dumb as it sounds, you don't think it can happen to you. And I'm here to let you know that it totally can. Obviously, for those of you who don't know me, she is not the baby I am referring to right now. Her oldest brother, Nolan, who is 4, I'll be bringing him on my channel sometime soon, is my first baby. And I found out I was pregnant with him 2 months after I turned 18. So I just barely made the cutoff of a teen mom. Oh no, you know what? Not really. But still, 18. I was an adult, right? So yeah, it was tough because lots of people had a lot to say about it, of course. I was doing like homeschool at the time, and I wasn't like physically going to school, but you know, the word still got around and it was pretty quick. To my knowledge, I was one of the first girls in my class to get pregnant, class of 15, and follow through with the pregnancy. And again, like I said at the beginning, what works for me may not always work for somebody else. So I totally get that. But like I said, word travels fast, and there was definitely lots of opinions. Families were not happy on both sides. Obviously, they weren't necessarily mad. I wouldn't call it mad, but I think disappointed would be the word. Dylan and I were obviously still living with our parents at the time, and it was not in our original plan, but it was in God's plan. So that being said, a lot of people wanted to know like our parents' reactions, and so I'll talk a little bit about them. So I did something horrible when I told my mom, and if you're watching this and you are pregnant and you haven't told your parents, or you're wondering how you would tell your parents if you got pregnant, do not tell your parents over a text that you were pregnant when you were 18 years old. That is a terrible, terrible idea. I actually did the wrong thing when it came to both my parents. I think I was just really scared, obviously, as anybody would be. I texted my mom while she was at work, and I told her I was pregnant, and that was, I think it was definitely the wrong approach, but it is what it is now. And what? Hold on, guys. Sorry guys, my home camera always tells me that there's activity when there's not, and it's a little creepy. So anyways, so yes, I texted my mom, told her I was pregnant. She was not happy at all. And I actually went the complete terrible route with my dad. I had his girlfriend at the time tell him I was pregnant. Just not good. And then my husband, my now husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, called his mom and told her over the phone. And she ended up telling his dad for him. So I would say both our parents' reaction was obviously not like, oh my God, congratulations, I'm so excited for you guys. No, like they were both pretty upset with us. And, you know, it was hard, definitely, for like a month or two. My mom came around to it a few days later. Obviously, she still wasn't thrilled with it, but she did accept that it was kind of the new reality. My dad came around to it fairly quick as well. I would say all four of our parents came around to it pretty fast because at the end of the day, it's like, what could you do? And another question that somebody put in my inbox was, did we consider like adoption or not continuing with the pregnancy? I think everybody else around us considered those options. I had multiple phone calls and text messages suggesting that I don't go through with the pregnancy or that I put the child up for adoption. And between Dylan and I, that was never really an option. We always kind of knew exactly what we were going to do. You know the price of what it takes to get pregnant. And I think the hardest part is I wasn't the only person my age or my grade or my class doing what was happening. I was just the only one at the time that was going to pay the consequences for it. I'm not saying that my child is a consequence, but there are consequences that come with that sort of thing. So I got lots of text messages and even phone calls about how disappointed certain family members were in me and how, I would just be better off, and so would my son. Sorry guys, I laid her down for a nap because she's just not having it with me today. So yeah. Anyways, so yes, I got text messages from people and, saying that they were disappointed in me. And, that definitely was not a good feeling for me to have. And sorry guys, I'm kind of like all over the place. I just picked back up from where I was prior to this. So yeah, that was hard, and it definitely could have made an impact on our final decision. And I'm definitely grateful that at the end of every single day, we didn't listen to, it's like the first time I'm glad we didn't listen to people. And I think that was a really big turning point in my life, was just kind of like realizing that other people's opinions of what you should do is not always the best option for you in the very end. It wasn't the best option for us in that time. The best option was definitely, continuing with our pregnancy and raising our child. And so during that time, something that helped me was I have an aunt who was also a young mom. And I want to say she had her child when she was 18, like 6, I don't know, something like that. And she was definitely a really, really good outlet for me because she knew what I was about to go through. She was really the only one in my family that had done something like that. And so I really just kind of looked to her for advice and just like confiding in her. And I just really trusted her, and I still do. And so, she was a really big help for me during that time. And, I still ask her questions, and she has multiple babies now, and so do I. So we kind of bond over that, and that's really nice. And, a really big, factor in realizing that it's not about what everybody else wants for me was I was nervous to tell one of my uncles, and because he's like a father figure to me, and I was like, I'm not telling him, I'm not doing it. And I don't even really remember how he found out. I think my aunt might have told him with my permission. And he called me that day, and I didn't answer the phone. I saw him calling me, and I was like, I'm not answering the phone. And he had ended up leaving me a message, and I don't remember really what the message said. There's a lot of things I don't remember about that because it was so long ago, it feels like. And so I finally called him back because in the message he basically told me, I know you're pregnant, call me back, I'm not mad at you. And so I was like, okay, at least I know going into this phone call he's not mad. And so I called him, and he had said to me, it doesn't matter to me that you're pregnant. I support you, and I'm happy for you, and you being pregnant does not affect my life, my wife's life, or my kids' lives. So if this is something that you want to do, You can do it, and we support you and we stand behind you. And that was a big, like, not really a deciding factor, but it was just a kind of a good eye-opener as to, a lot of people, not a lot, I wouldn't say a lot, but there was definitely some family members during that time who had stopped talking to me. I won't specify on which side of the family because it's really not important, but I will specify that it was not my husband's family. It was mine. And, I believe to this day that we don't speak because they were disappointed in my decision. And that's fine with me. But up until that point on that phone call with my uncle, I had thought that I was negatively affecting people's lives. And it wasn't until then that I realized that me being pregnant had nothing to do with my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, my siblings, my grandparents. It had nothing to do with them. And I'm not specifying again who, but it didn't affect anybody. I think it affected at most, obviously Dylan and myself, and then our parents. And that's totally fine and allowed. But obviously these people are allowed to feel however they want. If they feel disappointed, if they feel angry, if they feel that they should shun my family and I, that's completely fine with me. But I'm here to tell you guys that your personal decisions, 90% of the time, if they're good ones, don't affect your family. And you should never feel outcasted by your family by making a decision that's best for you, as long as it's a healthy decision and it genuinely doesn't hurt anybody else. And in this case, me having a child did not negatively affect or hurt anybody around me. So I think that being made to feel that way was definitely a hard point in my life. And like I said before, it could have definitely affected the route that I took, and I'm really glad that I didn't let it. So if it wasn't for having people like my aunt and my uncle and my mom and my in-laws during that time, I don't know what today would look like. So my best advice is be that person for somebody else. Everybody has an opinion, and like I've said before, everybody had an opinion about what Dylan and I were doing at that time, becoming parents. My mom got phone calls from people that she barely even talked to, and they're like, is the rumor true? Is Brooke pregnant? And it's like, yes. Like, are you okay with that? Like, does it affect you? Or are you okay? Yes, she's pregnant. And so my best advice is, if you're not watching this because you are pregnant or you're just watching it for fun, be that person for somebody. Not much comes out of being a negative person in somebody's life. So, to this day, those relationships are still kind of non-existent, and that's their choice, and I'm okay with that, and I respect that. I'm really grateful for the circle of people that we have around us today, because it's the reason that we are where we are. Well, I wouldn't say it's the whole reason, but it's a lot of it. So, yeah, be that person for somebody else, you guys, because you can really help somebody out. I know that might have gotten kind of heavy there for a little bit, and I'm sorry about that, but I really just wanted to kind of get that out there because lots of people were... She's waking up. Great. Lots of people were curious about that. And so, yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys because I know that it's hard and it's not easy, but like I said in my last clip, if you guys can be that for somebody else, then you guys will really save them a lot of heartache in the end. One of the questions in my inbox on Instagram was, do we hold a grudge against anybody for making us feel the way that we felt during that time? And the answer to that is no. Ironically, some of the people that said the things that they said are the people that our son is closest to today. And I do think that that's kind of cool. I think that it's, like I said, ironic, but I do think it's awesome. And I think that forgiveness is really all there is to it. I don't see why, I don't see what good would come from holding a grudge over that kind of thing. So, another question really quick was how I found out I was pregnant, or like why I thought I was pregnant. And I guess to just summarize that, I was feeling off and I was being super, super mean to my husband, and he was like, something is wrong with you. And so I was like, I'll just take a pregnancy test to shut you up, because he kept saying like, what if you're pregnant? What if you're pregnant? I was like, I'm not pregnant. Long story short, I took a pregnancy test. I really didn't think anything of it. I thought I was just kind of wasting my time just to kind of prove him wrong, because I love proving him wrong. We went and got the pregnancy test. He dropped me off at home. It was like 9 o'clock at night. I took it around 1 o'clock the next morning. I took it, I put it down on the counter, and I was like walking around doing dishes, like putting stuff like away. And I went back to check it, and I was like, this is so dumb. Like, Blakely. That's apparently what she thinks about my videos, you guys. That's really rude, baby. Anyways, like I said, oh my gosh. So I was putting stuff away, and I like went to go look at it, and I was like, this is so dumb. And I like looked at it, and I was like, okay, cool, like it's negative. And I like looked back at it, and I was like, that's not negative. So I looked at the box, I read it 1,000 times, and there was 2 in there. Thank God. I took another one, positive. My husband did not believe it. I know that sounds really stupid. I think both of us were in denial, even though the proof was right in front of us. So the next day, we went to Planned Parenthood. And for anybody that's been to Planned Parenthood, you know that it is a little bit scary to be there because it's just a little creepy. And so I did all that I had to do, and they took me back, and they're like, okay, like your test is positive, you know, what would you want to do? And I was really early when I found out I was pregnant with Nolan. I was like almost 5 weeks pregnant. And so I was like, well, I mean, I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew what Dylan wanted to do, but I think it was just so early. And I was like shocked, as if I didn't take a pregnancy test like just 12 hours before that. I was like sitting there like shocked that it was positive, and I was like, and so they let me leave, and they're like, you know, you have a few weeks to decide ultimately what you're gonna do. And so Dylan's dad used to have weekly appointments right next door to Planned Parenthood. So we literally like parked his car and ran in, didn't even walk, we ran, and past all the protesters and everything. And then we ran out, got in his car, and I didn't even tell him if the test was positive or not, because we just wanted to get out of there. And so he said, like, what is it? So I gave him the paper, and he looks at it, and it literally says, like, you tested positive for a pregnancy test, or your due date is, my due date was actually Christmas, which was funny. And he's like, so it's positive? Like, yes, that's what it says, it's positive. So then he goes and he takes me home because I had forgot something. I needed to get it from my mom's. And she comes to the window, and she like taps on the window, and I like have the paper in my hand, and I like shove it under the seat, and we roll the window down. She's like, you guys want to go get some frozen yogurt? And I'm looking at Dylan like my mom was always nice, but like now she wants to be really nice. Like, what the heck? So naturally we go get frozen yogurt, and I'm sitting there the whole time like, Mom, I'm pregnant, but I can't even tell her because I just couldn't. So yeah, I mean, it was intense. So yeah, that's how I found out I was pregnant. And you know, like I said, I was shocked, and I know that sounds really dumb, and Dylan was shocked too, but at the end of the day, I'm happy it ended up the way things did. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm sorry that video was kind of all over the place, but there are a lot of emotions that come up with remembering what it was like to find out I was going to be a mom for the first time, especially at 18 years old. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and like I said at the beginning of the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks, guys.